So Arran, today we're going to be talking about where are the best places to invest in UK property. So obviously 2019 is finally upon us, and obviously there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding Brexit. Many are apprehensive about investing in the UK property market. What are your initial thoughts about Brexit?
Well, yeah, I think for the guys at the top end of the market, London properties over 2 mil, they've certainly been hit hard. But we're seeing a lot of growth still, particularly in the regions, Manchester, Birmingham, a lot of interest in there. There's other towns as well, but certainly in some of the sectors we cover, like student property and retirement property, there's a local demand, and we're pretty unaffected by it, thankfully.
So taking this into consideration, there's obviously been a lot of positives. What are the main positives you've taken out of Brexit? Like what can you see where it's going to benefit the property market in the UK?
Well, yeah, I mean, some people are gloomy, but I mean, we think that we've certainly seen, because of the negative sentiment, people in stockpiling, right, companies like Top Tiles, Nestle, they've been buying a lot of stock and been buying sheds. JJL, Jones Lang LaSalle, basically said there was 3.8 billion worth of transactions. That makes 13% of the commercial market was just on sheds.
Wow. And
certainly companies like Amazon, I mean, they already own significant portfolios, but like in Daventry, Milton Keynes, Colville, companies that are developers like Panettone, they've developed 1.6 million square foot of industrial park.
Wow.
To cater for this demand. Yeah. So we think that there's going to be job creation in these certain areas, and that'll have a spin-off in the property prices in locations.
That's going to drive obviously demand in them areas because there's a lot of workers.
Yeah.
So they're the main core areas. So where are we saying, the Midlands? Is that?
Yeah. I think obviously Northampton, where they're developing most of it, and Leicester. But I mean, Northampton, just to speak quickly about that, I mean, it's the fastest growth in the housing market according to the house price index, 5.8% in October 2018. Right. And Leicester, it's been a great city to invest in according to Home Tracks. Essentially, it's risen by 250% since 2000, and we think that there's still more growth to happen there, especially with all this new job creation in the Midlands. Definitely. And yeah, it's only an hour away from Birmingham, so there's some good fundamentals in that there.
Without a doubt. So, is there any places further up north or further down south that might experience kind of this increase in demand from the warehouses?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that. I mean, the north, we like Warrington. We think with this position between Liverpool and Manchester, which has seen significant growth. Yeah. There's certain opportunities there, and obviously the transport links between there. It's the ideal place for warehousing. Yep. Certainly Amazon thinks so. Not only them, a company called Omega, they've basically bought 750,000 square foot. Wow. So there's not only the job creation, I mean, it's a nice place to live, and the property prices are not as skyrocketed like Manchester. And the houses are cheaper, and there's family homes. Yeah. And there's still going to be demand for family homes, so it's a big one for us.
And obviously with Warrington, it's not just going to benefit from that, it benefits from being smack bang in the middle of both Liverpool and Manchester.
Definitely.
So it's good for obviously professionals as well who can commute easily into both cities.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's got kind of spin off from the warehouses as well as the young professionals with all the growing industries within them cities.
Definitely. Cool. I mean, it's definitely going to benefit from the growth in Manchester, which you've seen 30% growth over the last 4 years. But we don't really think that, like you asked about down south. I mean, we've got, we think that there's going to be nodes literally around the M25. Okay, basically, the companies need to look at that last lane of delivery. They call it the last mile, but essentially they need to have a delivery node. And we think that places in Essex are going to do well, like Waltham Abbey and Tilbury. I think it's perfectly positioned for some excellent growth there. And Colchester, you've already seen 55,000 pounds growth in 1 year, according to House Simple.
So obviously we've talked about kind of how businesses and how the implications of Brexit in regards to businesses are going to have a good knock-on effect for properties and areas of properties. So obviously there's a huge shift between high street and online selling of products. Is the high street dead?
Yeah, I think there's been a significant struggle. I mean, you look at BHS, them folding, and you've got House of Fraser. Yeah. There's talk of Debenhams closing a lot of their stores. Yeah. And I think, people still want to shop, but it's not just about shopping. They want convenience. Yeah, definitely. So what we've marked a change on is that it's going to be looking at converting some of those shopping centres more into leisure facilities. So having more restaurants, entertainment,
Right.
things like crystal maze, cooking classes, these sorts of things are going to draw more people in.
Definitely.
And if you think about it, at least how I shop, it's, do the main shopping online and then do the top-ups. So when you want to have top-ups, you want to do more bespoke bakeries, more higher-end stuff, to sort of treat yourself, and places where people can meet their friends and that sort of thing. And I think the funds have recognized this in that one of the retail portfolios called Into Properties.
Right.
It's had significant interest from house builders who are looking at taking think about an out-of-town shopping centre.
Yeah.
They're literally building it on top of that.
Oh, really?
So you're creating a demand and then drawing people back in with the leisure facilities.
So is there anywhere in the UK where there's been examples of this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Manchester's already done that. I mean, wasn't really a retail place, but what they've done is, back in 2011, there was speculative development where developers literally said, well, if we build it, they'll come. So they built office parks and they built a lot of leisure facilities, and Manchester became a great place to live.
Yeah,
now people students are thinking, let's move to Manchester rather than move to overpriced London, okay? But it's not only that. I mean, in places like Edinburgh, they went and refurbished the St. James Park, and basically it's a retail area where they spent 850 million. They created theatre space, a lot of leisure, luxury hotel, and there's obviously been, it's been responded in the property market. It's a 7.7% increase in 1 year. And we think that with it being such an attractive city, there's going to be like knock-on effects on the wider Edinburgh area. Other places, maybe less so. I mean, Milton Keynes is one of the garden cities, but it is significant retail there, which we think could be redeveloped into a more blended retail and leisure, as well as some residential on board. So yeah, there's still options for growth from that perspective.
Yeah, and obviously with the added benefit of Milton Keynes, it's got that, it's within that commuter belt within London. You can get to London within an hour.
Definitely. Yeah.
So obviously it's a good kind of both combinations.
Excellent.
So we've talked about obviously the big cities, Edinburgh. So obviously London's always hot on the lips of all property investors. They want to get within London. So is there any still kind of little niche areas or little kind of sweet spots within London that are still kind of undiscovered by investors and that can really bring the high yields and high growth?
Yeah, I think, I don't think high yields are ever going to be London's appeal, but I think, the capital growth record has sustained itself. But it's really looking, as you said, for the pockets of growth there. It's a bit tricky because sentiment is still low, and the affordability question remains, prevalent. But if you think about, like, Waltham Forest was one of the top growth areas for 2018.
Yeah, it was,
obviously, it's quite an appealing place, but its next door neighbour there, Leytonstone, hasn't seen that growth, and we think that with the average property prices there, around 400,000, with the average of London being 629, according to Rightmove, there's still significant opportunity for growth, particularly with the convenient transport links on the central line and everything like that.
Cool. So there's still some certain spots within London that got real potential. So to summarise, you think 2019 is going to be a good year for buying properties in the UK?
Yeah, significantly. I do think there's definitely opportunities. To summarise, I think it's going to be driven by infrastructure and sheds, industrial development. So looking at Leicester, Northampton, Warrington. And then obviously looking at the node effect, which we spoke about, the M25 connections and accessibility, Tidbury, Waltham Abbey, and then again Leytonstone from a London point of view, and of course Milton Keynes and Edinburgh, with our favourite being on Edinburgh side of things. But there are some sectors which are Brexit proof, from the student property market and retirement homes, which is obviously some things that One Touch covers. But certainly we're feeling very positive about 2019. Oh,
great! Thanks for that, Arran.
Cool,
so obviously
pleasure.
That's a good wrap up. If you want any more information, just go on our website, www.onetouchinvestment.co.uk, and we also have consultants there that can answer all your questions in regards to all property investments in the UK. So thanks for listening.